It's your daily dose of Donna. Welcome to the show. Today is Wednesday, February 4th, and we have breaking news information for you guys. Lots of updates from yesterday's show regarding some of the big stories, right? We're going to talk about Nancy Guthrie. Of course, how can we not? This is the story that I think everyone is so focused on right now and worried about, and also the crazy amount of controversy surrounding this case. I can't believe what's happening, actually, just like from a behind the scenes perspective, just looking at the way things are being reported, things are covered, ways people are talking about it, different podcasters, content creators, and of course the police department themselves. We're going to get into that. Plus, someone sent me a message with a website, a built website with the complete timeline of all the text messages between Baldoni, Lively, Colleen Hoover, Reynolds, Taylor Swift, everything, but in a timeline form. It's really, really interesting. We're going to go through that and more stories on today's Daily Dose of Donna. My husband is in the comments section. Camera Lance notices that I'm wearing an F-22 shirt. I'm wearing an F-22 shirt. That's my husband's company, F-22 Studios, here in Burbank, for all your production needs, for all of your camera and production needs, podcast needs. Hit up Lance Bowling. Not sponsored, just married. Not sponsored, just married to Lance. Thanks for being here and supporting women in arts, Lance. I'm really thrilled that you actually support women, empowering women, to have a career. So very cool. Thanks everyone for being here. I just released a Patreon episode this morning because I didn't get around to doing it in the weekend. And I explained why, because, mom of a baseball kid, there's so much going on the weekends. So I just want to make sure that everyone has a chance to go over to Patreon and listen. And I really dive deep into this case. I talk about Epstein and that, and some stuff around all the craziness there. And then we go into some other stories. So make sure to subscribe on Patreon. The link is below. And I release weekly additional episodes. Plus, we're going to do our happy hour for the upper tier in just a moment. Just soon. This week. I want to do it this week. All right, you guys, let's get into today's stories. Number one, can I just take a moment to tell you how much I love you guys? And I really, honestly, I know this is not about me. It's actually about you. I open up so much on this show about my personal life, and I definitely try to keep it more of my personal life off the show and more on like the Patreon, Instagram side or whatever. But you guys have gotten to know my family, you've gotten to know my life, and you've gotten to know my dogs. And yesterday I posted about Frankie and just feeling just so sad about what to do about little Frankie. And, it's so interesting. She woke up in the morning and she was just really low energy. She wasn't feeling good at all. And then, of course, as the day goes on, she starts to kind of get a little bit more energy. This is her early in the morning. She just stood there, stares at the sun, and she's just not, feeling great. But look at her towards the end of the day, you guys. I took her on a walk with me, and she was so energetic. And I was so confused. I'm like, oh, so you're actually doing okay for the moment. So I was so confused by it, but it looks like Frankie is still holding on. And I'm so grateful for little Franks. But thank you so much for all your love. And love on my forehead. I was talking about it yesterday to the kids in the car. I was like, yeah, the people that like Meghan Markle are calling me a five head. And Oliver, my 10-year-old, was like, I have a five head too. And I said, welcome to the family. We're like cone heads, we're five heads. So this is, I just think the bigger the forehead, the more witty the show will be. Okay. Let's get into it. So let's talk about the awful stories that are going on right now. First, let's start with the Nancy Guthrie story. This is an interesting case because never before that I can remember in a very long time has there been such a high profile case, including or surrounded a member of the media. And I think that that's the confusing thing about it is it just feels so like meta, it's like we're talking about the media, we're talking about a member of the media, and the media is covering it. And then also there's so many content creators and reporters that are covering it too. And we're getting a lot of crazy information. Some is real, some is probably not, some is fake. And then it's making everyone question everything because the police department is also doing their best to kind of tame the beast, if you know what I mean. So as of yesterday, when I was on the show live, you guys were awesome. You let me know about TMZ releasing this information about this ransom note. And I said, when we were watching it immediately, I said, this is out of control. Why in the world is TMZ releasing this information on their show before they even say that they've had any connection with the police? And that's literally what they said. They said, we're trying to connect with the police. We're having a little bit of a hard time connecting with the police and the police department. And I'm thinking to myself, like, since when and whenever has TMZ had a hard time connecting with anyone? You're telling me that Harvey Levin from TMZ calls the I don't know, Pima County or whatever it's called, organization, police department, and says, like, I am Harvey Levin from TMZ, and we received a ransom note. And they were like, yeah, not really. Come on. The whole thing just was odd and off-putting and strange. And yes, the police did confirm that there are ransom notes coming in, but the truth is that multiple news stations, just not as big as TMZ or as well known, were getting the ransom notes. So I follow, when you're on X's algorithm is so incredible that you find all these different people that are reporting on the same situation. And if you're kind of searching something, so I'm like searching stuff around Nancy Guthrie. So of course, all these things are popping up. And the first thing that popped up was this small, I shouldn't say small, a local news station in the uh, Tucson area. And they said, we also did receive a ransom note. So I don't know. This could 1000% be a, uh, a random, like a prank where someone's just sending it to all kinds of people. It could be real. I don't know. We'll have to see. But the cops are actually confirming that they're taking all of these leads seriously. You have to take all these leads seriously. If you're not taking the leads seriously, then you could miss some things. Now, frustrating updates. As of last night, so I love Nancy Grace, and Nancy Grace can absolutely be someone that is off putting if you're not a Nancy Grace fan, but I love her. I love how she's like, tell me the facts again. Okay. I want the facts now. Like she is so hardcore. I feel like she's someone that people are like, she's mean. No, I'm like, be mean, be more mean. I love Nancy Grace. So Nancy Grace goes on to her show yesterday and she's interviewing a few different people. She's interviewing, I believe, an FBI detective and a this and like different people that are not working on this case, but are working simultaneously kind of around the stuff. And she's talking to them about all the facts. And the facts that she had as of yesterday when they had the show on, she said that Nancy Guthrie was dropped off by Annie Guthrie. That is Savannah's older sister. Savannah has two siblings, Charles and Annie. Savannah is the third. So she says, this is the information that we had as of last night. Annie dropped off Nancy at 9:45 p.m. What does that mean? Did she walk to her front door? Did she put her into her room? Did she help her wash her face and brush her teeth? I mean, she's 84. I don't know how mobile she is, but apparently, according to these people that we're hearing from, she can't walk 50 yards on her own. I don't know what that is in feet, but I imagine you need some help. But then new information is coming out again. Okay. So now the Pima County Sheriff is getting, eh, changing the story. And they're saying that at first it was last seen by eldest daughter Annie. And now we're finding out that it's actually Annie's husband. His name is Tommaso Cioni. And that is the person that dropped off Nancy Guthrie at her home at 9:45 after the mahjong at the church event, after allegedly they had dinner with Nancy had dinner with Annie and Tommaso. Now, why I bring up Tommaso? Well, day one when this missing person was reported, everyone's saying, who is next to kid? Who's around? Who's near? Who's this? And um, I think what's interesting about it is that the pictures that were first released of this Annie and Tommaso were a little bit shady. And I was seeing pictures of them looking like just a little bit, I don't know. You know how pictures always kind of get released and you try to find a picture that looks like maybe you're guilty or whatever, if they're trying to find a bad picture of someone. So, of course, those are the pictures that were first being released. And everyone's like, oh, these two look shady. This was the picture. I want to pull it up, but this is I don't want to get like a bad virus from this. Okay, I have no idea what this website is, but I'm just going to show you guys the first picture that I saw when I tried to find this picture that we see originally. It's this, okay? And if you look, they look they look a little shady in this picture, right? They look a little guilty, they look a little shady, they look a little off. But the truth is that Annie and her husband are, as of right now, all we know, are just the closest in location, and only they live 10 minutes from Nancy Guthrie, and they were the last people to see her. And allegedly, they are very caring in mom Nancy's life. Okay. But, and this is important. Why is this important? Because the FBI spent 2 hours at Annie Guthrie and Tommaso's house yesterday. Allegedly, Savannah Guthrie was there as well. And they were spending time together talking about all the things, right? FBI is doing their due diligence, asking all the questions. But what is interesting is that Annie's car was seized. Why was the car seized? If you're the last person that dropped a person off at 9:45 p.m. and then they're missing at some point in the night, is the car like a witness to something? Not unless they can consider and potentially believe that that car had something to do with the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, not the dropping off of Nancy Guthrie. They also apparently seized multiple items from Annie and her husband's house. Now, who is Tommaso? How long have they been married? I don't have the details exactly in front of me of how long they've been married, but what we do know about him is he is a sixth grade teacher at the local middle school. I think he teaches science, and he's a musician. And I do have some of my journalist detective friends in my DMs and in my text messages who are sending me all kinds of things saying saying that they did in fact he's kind of like posting posts on, Craigslist type things or local ads trying to find musicians to connect with. There was a post that you can find about it. So Annie is a musician, poet. He is a teacher, musician. It's a very different path, of course, than Savannah, who is a leading anchor on the Today Show for many years. She lives in New York City. She's got a lot of money. She's married to this like high powered political candidate, not candidate, but like a consultant type of guy, Michael Feldman. So it's a very different lifestyle. People are going to look into these things. Now, I was listening to someone else speak about this, and they said, by the way, this is the point. As I started looking at this and thinking to myself, something feels shady about these two. If they're the last people to see them, and then the FBI is going into their home and doing all of this, reconnaissance, why? But then Ashley Banfield, and let's go through this. Ashley Banfield, she is a host of a podcast, and she was a nightly anchor for News Nation. About a month ago, she reports that she's going to leave News Nation to go into independent podcasting. Great idea, honestly. Best idea I've ever done. You have your own YouTube show here. If you have your own, podcast, you have complete control. You can make all the money. You can talk about whatever you want. You can go live. You can not go live whenever you want. And it's really, really important to know that when you go alone, when you go independent, what happens is that it is a constant push and fight for success, for numbers. And you're not really held down by a company of any sort, legal system of any sort. So a lot of people you'll see are doing clickbait type stuff here on YouTube and on podcasting. And they say things that are wrong, or they say things that are unfounded, or they say things that are very damaging to others because they don't have that legal roof. And I get into that on my Patreon, by the way, about all the different people that are doing these kinds of things lately. Is Ashley Banfield jumping the gun? And this is my question. Is she jumping the gun by speaking pretty confidently last night, very late last night, because I went to bed, I think, by the time this came out, to say that this Tomasi, the husband of Annie Guthrie, is a prime suspect, not the only prime suspect, but a possible suspect. And this is important. Let's watch just this one little clip from Ashley Banfield last night, where she posts about it. Here we go.
Belonging to Nancy Guthrie's daughter, Annie Guthrie. This is important because you've heard that the last point of contact with Nancy Guthrie was when she was dropped off by her daughter at 9:45-ish at night on Saturday night. So Annie Guthrie, and possibly her husband as well, Tommaso Cioni, were the last people to see her at 9:45 at night, Saturday night. Sunday morning, 11 a.m., church members reached out to the family. Hey, your mom wasn't in church. Not normal. She's always there. What's up? Family member goes over, calls family member or members, goes to the house, calls 911, and the investigation begins. But they have towed Annie Guthrie's car. And there is some connection to Annie Guthrie's car and Nancy Guthrie's son-in-law. That would be Annie's husband, Tommaso Cioni, age 50, from Tucson, Arizona, married to Annie P. Guthrie, Savannah's sister. And my law enforcement source tells me that Tommaso Cioni is the prime suspect in this case. Again, law enforcement source tells me that Nancy Guthrie's son-in-law, married to Annie Guthrie, Savannah's sister, is maybe a prime,
she says,
suspect in this case. At the very least, let me tamp that down, because sometimes it's the first person you're looking at, not prime as in there's no one else. Okay, so let's be really mindful of that. Families are always looked at first as well.
True. Okay, so what she brings up is Ed Smart, and she talks about Elizabeth Smart's father. And I just watched the documentary. I don't know if you guys have seen that. I think it's on Netflix or maybe Hulu now. I can't remember. God, is it Netflix? It's the Elizabeth Smart documentary where she is interviewed. Her sister is interviewed. Everyone's interviewed that was related to it. And the truth is that the father, Ed Smart, apparently was the prime suspect. I was a little bit younger at the time, so I don't remember that. But yeah, why wouldn't you look at father, mother when someone is taken from their bed in the middle of the night, a young girl? So it's Netflix. Thank you. This is a very, very common thing that you're going to look at family, especially when you see the Ring cameras. It's actually Nest cameras. It's not Ring. The Nest cameras are removed immediately. They know where they are. Obviously, everyone thinks it's at the front of the house, but there's one in the back of the house. Why are you taking that one? Right? Then you also have a case where they believe that this person was very aware of who was living there when they were living there. What Nancy Grace was saying last night was saying the the first thing that you would probably do in this kind of situation is you're going to go after people that know the home, landscapers, housekeepers, service workers, people that are constantly going in and out of that house and know how to access that house and know who lives there and knows when she's there and know this and this and that. So let's talk about these Nest cameras really fast. The Nest cameras, and I keep thinking about this. When I have I have Ring at my house. We have Ring cameras installed around. So don't even think about it. The second there's activity, almost too much, we get a notification, right? Now, if you were to walk up to one of my Ring cameras and smash it down and remove it, you're going to most likely, I'm still going to get the notification on my phone even before you come up there because it captures like the surrounding area. It's not like you can walk from the side and just like it sees surrounding. And then you're going to get notifications immediately, but then also it is saved on ring.com. I don't know how Nest works specifically, but why is Nest not releasing this info? Because the police are still saying at this point, as of today, the police are refuting Ashley Banfield's story. They're saying it is not true. We have no suspect in custody or in mind. This is what the Pima County Sheriff's Department says. At this point, and this is today, investigators have not identified a suspect or person of interest in this case. Detectives continue to speak with anyone who have had contact with Mrs. Guthrie. Detectives are working closely with the Guthrie family. While we appreciate the public's concern, the sharing of unverified accusations or false information is irresponsible and does not assist the investigation. No suspect or person of interest has been identified at this time. That's from Chris Nanos, the sheriff. Let's talk about that. How many times have we seen this before? And I'm not saying that that's not true. It may be true, but I'll tell you why I don't think it's true. I believe that how many times now the Tepe murders, the Kohlberger situation, and so many others where the police know exactly who they're going after, they know exactly what they're looking for, and they can't tip off the public. Okay. The public can assume whatever, but they cannot tip off the public. And why? Because obviously it's sensing someone to go and say, like, oh crap, they know it's me, I'm out. Whether that means fleeing the country, whether that means doing something tragic to yourself. Now, that at the same time, LC in the comments just said something very important is that you can ruin this man's life just because of this. The media and people like me talking about it, who of course are going to talk about it, and I don't blame myself or anyone for talking about it because it is such an interesting, sad, scary story that of course we're going to talk about it. And it's not that Ashley Banfield's the only person that ever put this idea in our mind, but she made it feel like there's some sort of confirmation. She said someone extraordinarily close to this story in this law enforcement has given me this tip off. We're going to talk about it, but I pray to God for the safety. Well, here's the thing. I pray to God for Savannah Guthrie and the rest of the family that has nothing to do with him. I really do. However, what else do they have? Do they have any other leads? Now, we know that Brian Enton, my fave, was over on the grounds yesterday, and we said that helicopters were circling really, really low. Why are helicopters circling really low in the fields over there? They say that that is usually a sign that either they spotted something, see something, notice something. You can go back to the Elizabeth Smart documentary that I just watched, and that story where she was literally being held yards, walking distance from her home for weeks, I believe it was, or days at least, in a tent. And she heard someone briefly walk by and like call her name, and they didn't do anything. So that makes you think that. Now, Nancy Grace also sadly brought up a point where, there's also a lot of animals out in the fields over there in the open terrain of Arizona, wild animals, mountain lions, etc. And God forbid you have a situation where someone is, this would be an awful thought, but a body, and Nancy Grace brings this up, that like how long can a body remain in, you know, in a good condition if it's out there in the elements. It's also very cold. It's Arizona in January, February. Okay. Why did Ashley mention this? I believe she feels she has a very, very significant source. I actually don't think Ashley Banfield is intentionally misleading the public. I think Ashley Banfield did tell her something. I mean, someone did tell Ashley Banfield something that was strong enough of a lead. But yes, we have to be smart here and not accuse someone before there's any evidence. As of right now, there is no arrests. No one's being held, apparently, allegedly, according to the police. Now, why do you believe? Why do you believe that we don't have any more information from the police about the camera footage? I'll tell you, my gut is that they have their eye on a suspect. They know who's doing this. Another reason is that they are saying we don't feel there's a danger to the public. I'm sorry, if someone is being taken from their home and you don't have a suspect, I would imagine that's a danger to the public. Right? But what I said on Patreon this morning was about Nick Reiner. When Nick Reiner murdered his own parents in their Brentwood bed, that day, the police said, "Don't worry, no fears to the public," because they knew it was Nick. So I believe they know that it is someone. I think they have a suspect in mind. An FBI investigator spoke to. Let me pull this article up. A terrifying new theory is what Daily Mail is saying. This former, not FBI, a former hostage negotiator was on CNN. His name is Wallace Zeins, Zeins. And he's an ex-NYPD hostage negotiator. And he believes from the ongoing investigation, the evidence that he is seeing, he believes that more than one person snatched this woman and that it was a coordinated group of criminals. He says she's 150 pounds, 5'5", waking up in the middle of the night, not in the best of health, can't walk or run. I would think there's more than one person involved in this particular crime. Now, obviously, this is just, again, speculation. We have no idea. We have no idea what's going on. But this is just talking about it. It's so sad. And another FBI profiler believes she was selected for abduction in advance just from, the fact that she lives in this kind of remote area where the house is so held back from the street, etc. Now, do we know, and I'm asking you guys this, do we know who called 911? Was it the sister or was it a church member? That's what I need to know. We're going to find out more information. Stay here, you guys. Subscribe to Daily Dose of Donna. I go live every single day. And of course, I speak about it all the time on Instagram and TikTok and all of those things. So make sure to subscribe and like this feed if you guys are interested in more information. Sandra says, my kids used to go to the elementary school near that area. It would get shut down periodically due to mountain lions prowling the area. The area is full of coyotes, mountain lions, and javelinas. This is why I live in the city. This is why I live in Los Angeles. I am not into it. Jay says, oh my God, Donna, I saw your short and your arms look amazing. Please don't sue me. Oh, you saw when I was in my workout clothes. I work out when I walk through the town. Okay. Thank you. So I really, really pray to God that when they're searching behind her house. And that's another thing that is just coming up right now on X. I saw someone post that the police officers are actually currently physically searching through Nancy Guthrie's neighborhood, like behind her house. Let me see if I can find that clip of the police officers searching. Here we go. Of course, my man, Brian Enton. If anyone has an in with Brian Enton, can you tell him to show up on Daily Dose of Donna anytime soon? I love him. This is him. And he says deputies were just searching in the area behind Nancy Guthrie's home. As you can see, obviously they're not doing anything like very, dramatic here, but the fact that they're pulling up and just starting to physically walk through the fields and start searching, it just makes me think that they have information they don't want to give us. They don't want to tell the public. I don't know why. Probably because they have something in mind, and that's it. Her home is back there. All right, so we will continue to follow that sad story. We have more to talk about, you guys. And before I do, I want to remind you that speaking of working out and speaking of great arms, one of the things that keeps a lot of us from going to the gym is not knowing where to start or if our workouts will even work out. Meet Tonal. Tonal is the ultimate strength training system. And I'm going to pull it up for you guys so you can actually see what a tonal is. I don't know if you've actually looked at a tonal before, but a tonal is one of these. Here, let me pull it. I have to multitask. Are you guys going to be okay if I multitask? A tonal is a home gym equipment. You put it on your wall just like that, but it doesn't have any weights with it. And this is the key. So you don't need a lot of space. See, I have weight racks. I have so many different things, but this is like an AI guided resistance training that adapts to you. It learns your strength and sets the optimal resistance for every rep, increasing in as little as 1 pound increments to keep you challenged as you get stronger. And so you don't need a lot of space. You don't need a lot of weights. You just basically can build your muscle up to 2 times faster with advanced lifting modes. And there's also experts like these gorgeous people here that just tell you exactly what to do. And they can just, they could just coach you from the screen. It's amazing. And so people are really, really loving Tonal in their smaller spaces. If you don't have a gym, if you don't have a large space, it's actually really, really great. Right now, Tonal is offering Daily Dose of Donna listeners $200 off your purchase with promo code Daily Dose. That's tonal.com and use promo code Daily Dose for $200 off your purchase. TONAL.com, promo code Daily Dose for $200 off. Okay, let's keep on going into this other story. Well, a little piece of news about the Lively case, even though I'm so over half of these stories, but this story comes up and it's basically saying, it's on page 6, Taylor Swift is hesitant. She's hesitant to invite Blake Lively to her wedding. You don't say. Why would she be hesitant to invite Blake Lively to her wedding? Well, maybe because she's not her friend. Page 6. Maybe because with Blake comes trouble. I knew you were trouble when you walked in. That's literally the story, okay? Blake Lively equals drama. Why would you ever want to invite that into your wedding? And honestly, if Taylor Swift does, in fact, invite Blake Lively to her wedding, and we find out that Blake made an appearance at this wedding, I'm going to tell you this right now. Burn the CDs. Because then she was just playing the world for months and months and months and not standing by her friend when her friend needed her the most. Talk about women and women supporting women. What a bad friend if Blake Lively is in fact her friend and she actually is just not being her friend this whole time when Blake needs her the most. But then she's like, but you do give good wedding gifts, Blake. So come on over. Now, I did hear invites have already gone out to the wedding of the year. I say this with rolling my eyes, and you have to sign an NDA to show up. So there you go. And allegedly, Taylor Swift is not going to show her face anywhere. She's not going to be public. She's not going to be doing any press. She's not going to be doing anything until this wedding. Thank God Taylor Swift doesn't have to show up to the Super Bowl this year because Travis Kelce's not in the Super Bowl. What would she do? But she's trying to stay way off the radar of the public. She knows that she's not the most loved in the world these days, and she'll show up for her wedding and then maybe, pregnant. I don't even know. Who cares? Next, this one website. Thank you to whoever emailed me this. One of you guys emailed me this, and I find it fascinating. And what it is, let me show it to you. You can all access it yourself. It's an unsealed text timeline. And the website is called, I swear by this, assholemedia.wordpress.com. Don't know who runs it. But what it is, and I'll make this bigger, is it's an unsealed text timeline, but it is also color coded and clickable. So you can click on Justin text, Colleen text. You can click here for the second timeline. You can click. There's so much information on this website. Okay. So, it's your mama's a hoard. I don't even want to talk about it. So it goes deeply into every single detail, right? June 2021, how things started, June 2022, or whatever. And it goes on. And it's exactly what you guys are going to want for this information because it clicks right over to all of the exhibits directly. So just say if you are looking here, there's a foreshadowing text between Justin and Danny Greenberg. You click on it and it takes you right over here, which is Exhibit 91. And this text is basically Justin with his agent on December 8th, 2022. Danny says, "How was your Netflix chat?" And Justin says, "It was good. It was obviously all about how much she wants it. It ends with us. What she should do is deal with Wayfarer Studios and me to produce female-driven movies or emotional and inspiring films." And Danny goes, "Good. Traded with her afterwards." Justin says, "Either way, it's good to have something everybody wants, for sure." Then Justin says, "We sent the script to Blank for the role of Atlas. If you could help push that through, I'm also excited about Blake. I'm leaning into her at that moment. It's looking like WME people in this cast." Danny goes, "Great, on it." So if you just are very curious, like directly how this all kind of fell together, it's really, really interesting. Okay. There's a lot of stuff in here that I didn't even know about because I didn't look through every single document. And, for example, here's January 30th,
Coming up on
2023, when Paul Feig is on Justin Baldoni's podcast, talking about it. Remember that?
Happen? How's it going to be real? It doesn't seem real. It's why, like, whenever I'm making a movie and there's, we have like on-set photographers, I always kind of like, it doesn't make sense to me because to me, I'm like, why do they want to take pictures of this? Because I don't know if this is going to work or not. And only when the movie's finished.
Which is it's just fascinating to see that happened on January 30th, but that was 7 days after Justin and Don Saladino's text exchange where introductions were being made. And a couple days later, of course, then there's the Justin and Blake text exchange where Blake begins inserting her own core team into the crew. Then there's Justin and Blake text exchange on January 26th where Justin tells Blake she can direct the sequel. Have you seen this text? Let me make it a little bigger. This is on January 26, 2023. This is before the Khaleesi text. This is before the all of the text, basically. This is before everything, before they even shot the first scenes. Blake goes, "Wait, it was your birthday 2 days ago? Also, thank you and Emily. Please send me her number." Those postnatal gifts, and then crying. And Justin goes, "They came. Yay. We told our kids today they'll have friends in New York when we go, and they were super excited." And Blake goes, "They sure will. Full kibbutz. What's her last name?" Justin says, "Emily Baldoni. Her choice." Blake says, "Didn't want to assume. I'm Reynolds. My choice." He cried. She says he cried. Justin did like a smiley face. Justin goes, "Now that's a man." And Blake goes, "Wimp." Justin goes, "I keep hearing how excited people are for you to be Lily. I'm so happy. Colleen is on cloud 9. Ha, ha, ha." Justin says, did Matthias text you back, by the way? Blake, I haven't had a chance to write him today, literally doing now. Then Justin explains that he hired his PD production designer. And then he says, and then we also hired our wonderful AD. She's a gem. We all know that the AD ended up getting fired by Blake. Then Justin goes, have you seen this, by the way? Just found it and kids are using it. So sweet. And I don't know, they're talking about something. Blake goes, no, I need it. The script I had is most up to date, attaching in my email to Matthias. Justin goes, yep, I'm doing notes over the next 2 weeks and would welcome any that you have. Blake goes, we'll reread. I loved it so much. Our sweet assistant who wants to be a producer read, and she actually had a great note she shared with me, albeit worded a little clunky and the formality reads more cold than she is. And it's actually something I felt when reading but forgot to articulate. Copy pasting for sake of time. And then she pastes this little clip that is Blake's assistant's idea, which is just odd, right? Justin goes, putting kids down, will respond shortly. Then Blake goes, don't need to, enjoy your babies. Happy belated birthday. Justin says, you couldn't know it was my birthday. We don't Google our friends, remember? XOXO. Blake goes, well played. I mean, they were so friendly. Justin goes, side note, was just thinking, if we ever end up doing a sequel together, you should direct it. Blake says, stop, you're the best. Justin goes, I mean it. Blake goes, heart beyond, appreciate your partnership so much. Justin says, also, your text to Emily is so damn sweet. I guess I need Ryan's number to balance it out. I'll only harass him about pretty much everything he does that I'm a fan of once a day. XOXO night. Blake gives the number and says, try not to fall too in love. He's everything. Justin goes, ha, ha, ha. I can't even. Too nervous. He has to make the first move. JK. So sweet. Can't wait to hang, and congrats on the announcement. I think it went swimmingly. The fans are so excited. Colleen is thrilled. Try to get some sleep. XOXO. And then Blake goes, she emphasizes that comment, and then she responds to something else about Matthias. Great to hear from you. Da, 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 da. I wonder who Matthias is. Probably someone that they can work together with. And Blake says, also, just so we can all work together best on this long journey, I think now may be a good moment to acknowledge in a graceful way to Sony a respectful version of "We told you so." I have more context, which leads me to say this, but may not be necessary. And, they're going back and forth and just talking about like writing and stuff. It's a really, really fascinating read, all of these things that I didn't even see. And the reason why is because they literally just were so friendly. They were like giving each other so many compliments. They were like screaming at each other about how amazing they are. You should do this. No, you're amazing. No, you're the best. No, you're wonderful. No, you're gorgeous. Like, why did it all shift so much by April before they even went on set? Right? Before it went on set. Maddie, really interesting. She says, no wonder Ryan wants to destroy him. He became Blake's narcissistic supply. Wow, that is so interesting. It's like, if you think about it, she's probably like, oh my God, Justin said this. Oh my God, Justin said that. Justin is Justin this, Justin that. So I'm really, really fascinated by this website. Now, another thing that I had missed, because, I'm not sitting here all day reading every single thing. But one thing I missed, of course, is when Ryan texts Liz Plank about Justin. Okay. Here is Ryan texting Liz Plank about Justin Baldoni in April. Before they start shooting, Ryan says, I'm a little baffled by Mr. Baldoni. I would love any guidance at some point. Liz, rats. I tried to warn Blake on the red flags, but was hoping he had gotten better. I'm on a shoot right now. Want me to call you after? Reynolds, sure. Zero pressure. We can chat tomorrow and sigh. Liz, I'm sorry, Ryan. Working on his set was truly one of the worst days of my life, but it's survivable and I'll help. Call me anytime tomorrow. X. Okay. Now, she continues to work with Justin Baldoni for the next year, over a year, right? She continues to work with Justin Baldoni until December 2024. So what caused Ryan to send those text messages? Oh, I know. It was Justin Baldoni not, signing off on Blake taking over the script. It was him saying, like, not really so sure. And it was also after the meeting or it was right around. Let's look at the timeline. When was the meeting? On April 12th, Taylor Swift and Blake Lively text where they discussed how they deceived Justin. Okay. So if you go back earlier, hold on. February 28th is when Ryan Reynolds messages Justin Baldoni. Then they're messaging back and forth, Justin and Blake. And on April 8th is when Blake says never with teeth. Okay. Then April 12th, Taylor Swift and Blake Smollett text exchange where Taylor agrees to Blake text exchange where Taylor agrees to compliment Blake's script. And that was on April 12th. And that was the same day that Ryan texted Liz about Justin. Okay. The next day, Justin continues to get texted from Blake wanting to control casting and change Jenny's scene. Then we get the Khaleesi text the next couple days. So obviously at this point, the story's being built to hate Ryan at this point. Now, something that I thought was kind of interesting also were some emails that like Colleen Hoover was sending to let me just try to find exactly where it is. I may not be able to find it right there, but it is, I have it right here. There's a letter that Colleen Hoover sends to Josh Greenstein on May 20th, 2024. Remember, this is a whole year later. This is right when they're doing the whole editing and everything. And it looks like this. If you read this letter out loud, you're going to say, Colleen wrote this or did Ryan write this, right? Hi, Josh. Thank you for getting me access to Blake's version last night. It was so helpful. I put them directly in this email, but also in a Word file because the email is wonky. Just didn't know if you had Word. I'm only sending this list to you for now so you can read and then you and I can discuss. I don't know Blake well enough at all. By May 20th, 2024, you don't know her well enough at all? Okay. But I do think it's important she know all the things I loved about her changes. I write books so I can get wordy. So let me know if we don't need all of the info. I just thought that if she trusted that I noticed her changes and what I love about them, she might be more willing to trust my suggestions, considering I've never worked in film before. And I'm also going to note if there are any more things that are also thoughts I sent Justin so that we're clear it isn't a change Blake made. So it goes on, and it's like, Blake looks stunning. Blake is incredible. Blake is this. I noticed this. Blake said this. Blake should do this. And Blake does this. Blake mentioned there's a line she might add in the scene after he says, I want to have sex with you, where they joke a little more and joke about carbs. It sounds like it could be a great moment of levity. Blake added that I realized you're a neurosurgeon line after the kiss on the roof. And I love this addition. Please don't take it out. Blake. I mean, it's like a Blake obsessed email and it's so, so, so long. There's like 5,000 notes. And I just find it fascinating. Her resilience is what's so inspiring in this scene. And I finally felt that resilience in Blake's version. How about this one? I love the changes in the birth scene. This is literally the most important scene in the book. And in that first version, Lily was way too nice to him. Way, way too nice. Blake removed the kiss on the forehead from Ryle before he walks away and the comment, it's okay. And I think it's so important that it's gone. She stood her ground at the hardest moment of her life. Blake is amazing. Blake is amazing. Blake is amazing. Like truly every single thing that she says here is about Blake's cut and how amazing it is. And I find that to be like incredibly revealing because why do you love everything that Blake does so much more than Justin does. Like, it's too obvious to me that it was a setup, you know? And I'm just trying to look at the dates here because the Matt Damon text, so that email was on May 20th, 2024. And this was the same day that Colleen and Blake were colluding against Justin about the poster. And this is also a couple days after Blake Lively has already messaged Matt Damon and his wife and Ben Affleck and talked about Bradley Cooper and other celebs being on her side and planting more stories about Justin. So you're telling me that this email that Colleen sent to Josh Greenstein 3 days after Blake Lively was messaging Matt Damon was not a coordinated effort to get Justin Baldoni's cut out? Come on. Come on. We're not stupid. You think we were born yesterday? So those are my feelings about that. I think that it's a very interesting read. You guys definitely check that out because it's fascinating. It's all fascinating. Other than that, you guys, just the same old, catching up with the days stuff. I will tell you, I watched Summer House last night. This is like my little Bravo section of the show. I watched Summer House last night. Did you? Summer House is where my heart lies. It makes me feel young. It makes me feel hot. It makes me feel drunk. I mean, it's one of those shows that, I live through them in the Hamptons in my mind. But what I find fascinating about this season of Summer House is that we're basically seeing the beginning of the end of Kyle and Amanda's marriage. But I will say that Kyle and Amanda's marriage has been ending for multiple seasons. However, in this season, episode 1 is the first weekend in the Hamptons, and Amanda hates Kyle. Like, legitimately hates her husband. And she's telling all of her friends, I don't understand why. I wanted him to get a job. Well, I wanted him to stay home and go to bed early with me. And he got a job, a new business where all he has to do to make this business succeed is go out every night and go out late at night. She also says that another friend of hers has a DJ husband as well. How many people are DJs? I am so confused. And he said, this friend of hers said that he goes and DJs every night, but then comes right home to his wife and kids or whatever. So she's clearly miserable with Kyle. She's annoyed with everything he says. She's annoyed with everything he does. She can't stand him. She doesn't want to sleep with him. She doesn't want to be with him. It's the most obvious thing you've ever seen. Then she FaceTimes Lindsay Hubbard in the scene with Sierra, and Lindsay's with her new little baby, and Amanda's seething with jealousy over that life. You can just tell she despises her husband. But they decide to have a huge party. The one thing about Summer House that I can never reconcile with or understand or can never live in is all the theme parties. Like, who has the energy or the time for that? Who does? I don't. I have no interest whatsoever in a theme, even on Halloween. But I digress. They have a theme party and it's some sort of carnival party and everyone's just getting trashed beyond belief. And Amanda is getting more naked for everyone in the party than she is for her own husband. She hates him. And that's honestly the truth. And I'm glad that they're divorced now or they're separating. But allegedly, not allegedly, but last night there was a premiere party and Kyle did speak. He made I'll pull it up. He made a toast and he called out Amanda. And honestly, I do think that they're just better as friends, like truly. But here is Kyle's speech to Amanda. I hope it's not too hard to listen to hear.
Amanda, thank you for joining me on this journey. I got it. Through all the ups and downs, you stood by my side, and I'm forever grateful to have shared so many memories. This season is more bitter than sweet for us, but I'm confident we'll both find happiness, whatever that looks like. And yes, I'll still help you with your taxes. To all of you, our family, our friends.
So I basically treat Zach Peter the way that, Amanda treats Kyle. Love you, Zach. I will continue to watch that show. Plus, they did a little teaser for In the City, which is the new spinoff, which is going to be with Kyle, Lindsay, and Amanda, probably other people as well. Can't wait for that. We also had a trailer for The Valley. So Bravo's still doing their best. doing their best. But I think I'm over like the older shows. I think I'm like having a hard time with Housewives. I'm not going to lie. Okay, that is it, you guys. I adore you. I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the show. I'll keep you updated on everything that happens, and I'll talk to you tomorrow on Daily Dose of Donna. Bye.